Hey guys, MaxLPQueen here, and welcome to some more TERA dungeon runs. So today we are running through the Akalath, I can never say the name of this, Akalath Quarantine dungeon. This is, well, it was relatively new. I don't know if it's actually new anymore, but it was a relatively new dungeon. And now it's probably not anymore, but I finally made it to, since they've kind of moved everything around a bit, they, pretty much what they do is they make dungeons super high leveled with item levels, so you have to be really high in your item level before you can do a dungeon. And then after they do that, they just lower it down and then they change it out when they get new dungeons, and then those newer ones are too hard to go into if you're not high item level, but then the ones that were hard go down, and those are now a little bit easier to do, I guess, if you want to call it that. I don't know, am I making any sense at this point? Basically, I don't have high gear, so I'm not able to actually go through and do the dungeon until they lower the difficulty, basically. So now that I'm able to do it, I decided to log in one day and see if any of the queues would pop, because normally they don't really pop, and I figured the game would probably be dead or something. So I was like, well, okay, I'll try it, see what happens. And I did, and it actually popped fairly quickly, so I thought, you know what, I'll come in here and I'll do the dungeon and do a run through of it for you guys so that you can have a guide for it, because I've looked online and I've seen there aren't many guides, just a lot of YouTube video guides, and I was like, you know what, I should put mine up too, I guess. As I had to go into the bank and had to ask someone for a traveling banker, because of course I always forget to bring my items with me before I go into the dungeon. I literally go and start the dungeon and get into the queue, and then all of a sudden it pops and I'm like, ugh, I come in but I forgot to bring my prime solutions and all those things that you need to be able to do the dungeon and do any sort of damage whatsoever. I don't know why I don't just keep them on me, but I mean, my inventory is pretty much full to the max as is, so I don't need anything else blocking up my inventory. But anyway, we're gonna probably read through the mechanics for each boss. There's only two bosses. Akalath Traven, who we're taking on right now, and then the final boss, Akalath Kashir. So Akalath Tavern, I don't know, all these names I can never pronounce, has a few special attacks and key mechanics that I thought we would run through. So he has, the special attacks that he has are called Be Gone, Big Circle Stun, Circles Spin to Win, Right Spin Wave Backslash, and Right Left Double Slash. Oh wait, and then he also has 4 slashes. So Be Gone, and if you want to know, I am reading through the Essential Mana Guide for this. If you just go to Google and you type in the name of the dungeon guide afterwards, usually the Essential Mana Guide is the first one that pops up, and normally that's the one that I would always use. But for some reason, I don't know what it was, it took me a few tries to get into Essential Mana, because, I don't know, for some reason it popped up like it was going to have like a virus on this website or something. I have virus protection on my computer, luckily, but it didn't let me in, and now it's letting me in. So I'm not going to post it in the description like I normally would do, because on the past dungeon run-throughs I've done, I posted the Essential Mana Guide in the description. That way you guys could read through it if you wanted to as well, or read through with me, or read through it on your own if you don't want to watch the video, just whatever. But I don't think I'm going to include it this time. So while you guys watch me, of course, die a million times, because like I always say when I do these dungeon guides, I learned doing the dungeon a lot better by going through it and playing it rather than reading through a guide. I can read through the guide a million times, but it will not help me unless I just run through the dungeon a few times so I can learn the mechanics on my own, because reading through it just, I don't know, just, it doesn't work for me for some reason. So I will read them for you guys if it is helpful. You can read them yourself, of course. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm basically repeating myself a bunch because I want you guys to know a little behind the scenes here. I just recorded this whole entire thing like 30 minutes ago, or no, it was like maybe 10 minutes ago. I just recorded this whole entire video. It's about 30 minutes long because the dungeon run through took us quite a while to get through. But I just recorded the whole entire thing. I got through it all and realized that I should have checked the audio first, because of course, with my little tiny voice, you could barely hear me over the audio in the game. So I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it. I spent 30 minutes talking to myself and I could not swallow. I had to go grab some water, and I just don't want to do it again because I'm gonna have to ramble on for 30 minutes again about something. So I didn't want to do it again, but I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna do it again. I have the time. It's just gonna put me back a little bit behind schedule, but might as well go ahead and do it, I guess, just so that I'm able to be heard. Because what's the point of me reading through these mechanics if you can't hardly even hear me anyway? But you should be able to hear me fine now. Hopefully, well, it's not too loud. I did kind of check it a little bit, but for some reason, now my TERA audio is all messed up, and now I had to fix it again, so I don't know. Anyway, let's read through these mechanics. So the special attacks, first one is called Be Gone. The boss puts up both hands together to charge some kind of magical orb, and then he slams this down, dealing damage to everyone. It cannot be blocked or iframed, or ignored through invulnerability. The healers need to use their Kayas or the Thrall of Protection. The big circle stun, he will lift both swords, getting ready to slam them down, and it cannot be blocked, but it can be iframed. Circles spin to win. He will spawn exploding circles on everyone. You guys have seen those, of course, already. You can dodge those or block them. Failure to do so will get you stunned, followed by the boss spinning quickly and dealing a lot of hits. Slightly different from Akalath, since Akalath would do an outer donut first. I guess that's a boss from another dungeon. I don't know. I don't really remember the names of all the dungeon bosses. But right, spin, wave, backslash. So he's going to start with 3 right-handed attacks, and then turn around and do a wave in front of him, followed by a backsplash, which is mentioned in the normal attacks. He has a lot of normal attacks, but I didn't really want to read through those because I figured those would probably be pretty easy to recognize anyway. A lot of bosses have a lot of normal attacks that you can usually tell. So the right-left double slash, he will start with a right-handed attack, followed by a left-handed attack, and then 1 slash attacking on each side. The slashes can't be blocked or iframed. They cannot. You can, however, use invulnerability, like warp barrier or tenacity. If you get hit by the slash, you'll have a bleed debuff, and that'll deal 10% of your max HP per second. And then the last special attack here is 4 slashes. And that is, he's going to do 4 slashes back to back, of course. They can either go on the tank or target a random person after each slash. You can tell ahead of time if you're going to get targeted by the next slash. Ideally, you'd go in front of the boss during the previous slash so that the boss doesn't rotate. They cannot be blocked or iframed, but you can use the invulnerability thing again, or the warped barrier or tenacity. Then getting hit by it will put a debuff on you that deals 10% of your max HP, the bleed debuff. Those two both have bleed debuffs. And then we also have some a key mechanic here. He only has 1, but this one here is similar to some of the other bosses. I am reading the right one, right? Yes. It's similar to the other bosses. It's a colored debuff. Basically, when you start the boss fight, he's going to do a mechanic and he'll give you a debuff. It can either be blue or red, and there will be a message on the screen that says "Bear my curse." He can also do an attack that doesn't deal any damage, and that will change your color of your debuff. So basically, when the message shows up another time, he's going to do that in and out mechanic. You guys have seen it before if you played some of the other dungeons that had this. You have to either go in or out depending on your debuff. The idea is to get by the opposite color of what you have. So if you're red, you get hit by the blue, or if you're blue, you get hit by the red. If you need to know whether the inner circle is going to be blue, you can look at the aura and weapons in the boss's hands. So when he says, "Bear my curse," much like Antaros Abyss, the main difference being that the red won't always be inner, and blue won't always be outer. So if the weapon or the aura turns red, then the inner area is going to be red and the outer area will be blue. Then the opposite, of course, if his weapon or aura turns blue, the inner area will be blue and the outer area will be red. So they leave a little hint down here at the bottom, and they say that if you want to somewhat be able to predict when the mechanic is going to happen, it's on a more or less 50-second cooldown. So you can use your 60-second long debuff to somewhat keep track of when the mechanic is going to happen. People who are familiar with Ruinous Manor will most likely be familiar with this concept. So it is something that has happened in the other dungeons before. It is very similar to Ruinous Manor, and I think there's some other dungeons that this is done in too, I believe. Woo! Sorry about that. I got up super early at like 6 a.m. this morning, so I am finally getting a little fatigued here after all the recording I've been doing. But yeah, this has been done in a bunch of dungeons, so obviously you can kind of determine. I wish I would have known that though, because when I did this boss the first time, I didn't know that there was a red and blue debuff thing. Yeah, because you can see there, the inner circle I think was blue, and the outer was red. So my debuff was probably red. Or no, my debuff was blue. And so I should have definitely stayed on the outside instead of going inside. But I didn't realize that at the time. I know what you're thinking. Yes, you probably should have read through the mechanics first. But like I said before, I would rather not read through the mechanics because I learned better by not doing that. I want people to help me as well. Like, if I ask how to do the mechanics in the chat, no one ever tells me. So, I mean, if you could just tell me what to look out for, then I would kind of somewhat know what I'm doing. I need to get a drink of water. I've been talking way too long. I have been up, like I said, since 6 a.m. because I realized that today is going to be like the last day that I'm going to be able to record for a very long time. And I realized that I did not have enough videos to last through 3 or 4 months. And you guys know I like to bulk record my series. So when I went to look and see how much I had bulk recorded, I was like, oof, I don't think I'm going to have enough to get me through. Because I'm not able to record freely every single day whenever I want to. I have like a set time that I'm able to record every Monday through Friday, but then I can't record any on the weekends, and I can only record for like an hour at a time. But I had so many bulk recorded that I just thought, you know what? I don't need to worry about recording. And plus, with everything that happened, if you guys know what I'm talking about, in 2020, I didn't want to do anything. And recording was the last thing that I thought about. That was literally the last thing that I was thinking about, because I was like, you know what? I have plenty of stuff bulk recorded. I don't need to worry about doing anything else. I really don't. And frankly, I don't want to, because I'm having to stay in my house and I'm having to do things differently than I normally do. So I'm just not in the mood to do it. So that's why I didn't record any. But then I realized, yeah, I had like a few months where I could have recorded and I didn't. And now I'm running low on videos again, and now I probably should have recorded. So yeah, not good. I probably should have done that. So now I'm having to do catch up, and I am basically running on fumes right now because I had about an hour break where I just watched some YouTube videos and waited for a little while, and now I'm back into the recording again. I had more time than I thought I was going to, so I'm just taking this whole entire day basically to do as much recording as I can, and hopefully I'll have enough stuff to last me through. But here is the final boss here, Akalath Quarantine. So he has some special attacks as well as some key mechanics as well. So I figured we should read through those too while we're doing the boss, because he's going to take quite a bit of time to get through. I don't know if we will be able to have enough, we'll be able to read through enough of these mechanics to last us through the whole boss battle, because this one did take quite a while to get through. But there is something that I do need to talk about as well, so I guess if you do stick around to the end of the guide here that I'm going to read while ago, just a second, then you'll be able to understand a little bit more about what's going on, because I do have some people that ask me questions about TERA a lot, so there are some things that I do need to talk about. But let's go ahead and get into these mechanics here. So, like we said, this is Akalath Quarantine. And his special attacks, he has backstep, front charge. The boss will jump back and then charge forward on an un-iframeable attack. You need to go to the side to dodge it. He also has a stomp, double front. He stomps his foot on the tank and then does 2 quick attacks. He has a left-right claw attack. So he'll do 2 attacks and then cross both his claws to hit the tank another time. All of these are blockable, but if you are the tank, the claw attack has to be a perfect block if you want to be able to block it. And then we have the left-right claw hold. The boss does 2 attacks and then crosses both claws to hit the tank another time. And then holds his claws still in front of him to do another attack that must be iframed. So this is the same as the last one, except the last one, they are all blockable, but the last one is not. So even if you get the perfect last attack, they are all blockable, but the last one, if you're the tank. Res bait jump. So the boss will quickly jump on the person that's being rezzed before teleporting back onto the tank. The attack he does when returning to the tank can be blocked though. So spin triple back spin. He's going to spin and then hit behind him 3 times. And then while moving forward, he's going to spin back. All of them can be blocked. He has roar as well. He's going to crouch and cross his arms in front of him. And just after moving his back up slightly, he will stun everyone. This attack must be iframed to avoid getting stunned. Teleport kick spin. He's going to teleport on top of someone, kick them, and then spin. And they can all be blocked, those attacks as well. And the last special attack he has is called front rock. So the boss will stab his claws into the ground and raises the rocks in front of him. This attack cannot be iframed. So you cannot iframe that attack. Okay, and then he has some key mechanics as well. He doesn't have just one, he has 3. So one of the key mechanics is called aims for your back. So this is identical to the hunt mechanic in Red Refuge. So basically he's going to teleport to each player, and the arrow on your character indicates if you should iframe. Make sure not to group with your party members, or else you have to iframe multiple times. He has a jump back triple rocks. So one of the entirely new boss attacks. No other boss has this one as of right now, I'm guessing. They probably will add it in later, of course. But this is entirely new boss attack. The boss jumps backwards and does a front rock, which is a special attack that we talked about earlier, followed by the same rock attack done by 2 clones spawning to his sides. And these aim behind the boss. And then his last key mechanic is called Yellow Claws Slam. The claws of the boss start glowing, followed by him jumping into the air and slamming on the ground, resulting in a huge AoE. You have to face tank this, or the or use Divine Protection. Healers, make sure to use Kaya's or Thrall of Protection. It says, take note here at the top of the final boss. It says, this is Argog from Red Refuge, but on even more crack. It's the same boss with a lot of the same attacks and mechanics, but there's a few even more crazier attacks. Occasionally, the boss will put a cleansable debuff on everyone, Sharp Etching, and this debuff will start off as a 1% max HP damage per 5 seconds, and will stack up to 5 times. At 5 stacks, it will apply by Wild Vigor, which gives 10 power and deals 10% of your max HP per 5 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. So fully stacked, you take 35% max HP damage per 5 seconds and gain 30 power. So he has 2 of these things that you have to watch out for, I guess, while you're doing this. Alright, so that is going to be all of the mechanics for the dungeon. So, we need to talk about something. As far as TERA goes, if you have made it this far in the video, then you will be informed of your TERA stuff that you're wanting to know, if people are wanting to know what's going on. If you will remember, I posted a video a while back saying that TERA had been bought by a different company because Inmass is going out of business. So Inmass is gone, they are no more. TERA, and I believe Closers as well, is going to a different service because Inmass, of course, is not here anymore. So when I posted that video, they had sent an email out a little bit later saying that you can transfer all your data to the Gameforge servers because Gameforge has decided to buy TERA and Closers, so that they now have those. And they took them over from Inmass. And Gameforge, they are pretty much in control of TERA over in like the European countries and stuff anyway. So it kind of made sense if they just took the American version of TERA as well. So now that Gameforge is a thing, I went and I did everything that they said to do. So it said that by like sometime in November, whenever everything's back up and running again, that our accounts should transfer over from Inmass to Gameforge, as long as we accepted it and told them that they can take our stuff from Inmass and put it over there. So I did that, and at this point I'm kind of just in a waiting game. I don't really want to play the game. I have no interest in playing it anymore, to be honest. A few things happened a while back that kind of turned me off to the game. If you watch the leveling guide, then you'll see a little bit of a spoiler alert. The last episode of the leveling guide will tell you everything you need to know about why I'm deciding not to play this game anymore. But if I do ever come back into the game again, I will log in and see if my account is still available. If it's not available, I'm probably not going to play anymore, to be honest. Like, that's a lot of work that I've done to kind of just be gone and completely just not being used anymore. That would make me super angry. Like, I had probably 300,000 gold or more in the bank. I had materials from literally like the first few patches after like they did all the level 65 stuff and they changed up all the gears and everything. My bank was full, like three little areas I had unlocked in my bank that were full of everything that I needed, if I needed anything. I mean, you guys saw my bank at the beginning of the video, so you know that there's a lot of stuff in my bank, and my characters, you know, I have a lot of those. I have probably like 12 characters. They're not all level 70, of course. My only level 70 is my gunner. My gunner here, of course. But if I don't have any of my stuff when I log into Gameforge and I have to start all over, I kind of wouldn't want to play the game anymore, to be honest. Because all that work would be literally a waste. So I started playing TERA back when the Brawler debuted, the female Brawler, the very first time it debuted. I don't remember what year that was. I think it was around 2016. So probably almost, it'll be probably 5 years that I played TERA. So, I mean, to just have everything that you've done in those 5 years gone would be pretty upsetting. I don't know, I haven't logged in yet. It literally took like 3 days to download the game for some reason. I don't know why it took that long. I don't know, I guess my computer just like glitched or something. They have good internet. I don't know, it just kept glitching out and it wouldn't download, and then it would and it wouldn't. I don't know. It was weird. So I finally got it downloaded and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna stop. I'm not gonna open it yet because they gotta transfer everything over. Gotta give them a chance to do that. But basically, the reason I don't want to play is because, like I said, the last episode of the leveling guide, you watch that, which I don't know if this one's going up before the leveling guide will, but I kind of ranted about the level 70 mechanics and getting there and all the bad stuff that it happens when you get to level 70 in that video. But also, I recently got back into the game a couple months ago after that fiasco with the leveling guide, and when I went to enchant my gear, because I thought, you know what, maybe if I just enchant my gear, I'll be able to do a lot more damage and I'll feel like playing it more, because I just don't do enough damage and I can't go into the higher level dungeons because I'm not high enough item level. So I went in and went to go enchant some of my gear with the very, very expensive feedstock that I have to use, because I have dark light gear right now, I believe is what it's called. I had it to like plus 10 or plus 11 or something like that. And I went to enchant it, and I did not read that it said that if you failed in succession, it would lower your little armor. So like instead of being plus 10, it would be plus 9. And I did not read that. I had no idea that was even a thing anymore. Like, why was that a thing? Why? Whose idea was it to put that in the game if you fail? Because it's bad enough that you have to have little luck as it is getting a actual success on the higher gear, but to have it be able to go down if you fail, that's just ridiculous. I spent over 100,000 gold trying to get my gear up, and then finding out when I got done that my gear had went down in level and I never got like hardly any successes whatsoever. I got one, but it didn't even matter because it went down, because they changed it to now it's going to go down when you fail. It was ridiculous. I was just done. I don't want to play the game anymore. And obviously, if I'm not enjoying the game or playing, having fun playing it, then who's going to want to watch it? I mean, seriously. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with the game. But we have finished the dungeon. That is going to be the end of the guide here for Akalath Quarantine. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. And I will, of course, see you guys in the next video, whatever that may be.